Ah, there we are, relaxing under the stars. One of the brightest times of the year to have so many bright stars. And binoculars are a great way to start watching and stargazing in your backyard. Hello, everybody. I'm Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us to stay star curious on this episode of Stay Curious. We're going to talk about, of course, this beautiful constellation behind me, Orion the Hunter. Betelgeuse is marked up there. The armpit of the giant is what that means. And you want to look up and see Betelgeuse. Make sure it hasn't blown up because we know it's going to blow up within the next million years. Just we don't know if tonight's the night or not. So we are very interested in learning a lot about the night sky. You can do it from your own backyard, and you're going to see 8 stars that are first magnitude, and they form a giant hexagon in the sky, or a capital G in the sky. We call these little asterisms. The Big Dipper is the most famous asterism. The Big Dipper is not a full constellation. It is just part of Ursa Major, the Big Bear, just the hindquarters of it. So got my buddy Marty Winkle with me. We're going to get our red flashlight out in our night sky, look at what's happening in this wonderful week of winter where the moon is going to be getting a moon dance across the night sky. And Marty, here's the photograph from England by an amateur astronomer. His name I wrote down here somewhere. And Roger Samwood. James Samwood is in the United Kingdom. He photographed last night. That is Venus, the bright star, and that's Saturn next to Venus. And, of course, the crescent moon right over a steeple there. Tonight will be another night where the moon's going to be a little further away, but Venus and Saturn are closer to each other. We've been talking a lot about Saturn all summer, and now it's going to be gone here in the next couple days as it's going to be swallowed up in twilight up there. So want to say hi to Marty Winkle, my co-producer. Marty, how you doing?
Doing good, Mark. How are you?
Great. We've got a special visitor. Scott Pook is in our studio here, and Scott lives in Australia, and he has been watching Stay Curious for some time, and he's going to be on the show tomorrow. So we're going to learn all about some of the radar or satellite installations that have become famous because Scott Pook, that's what his expertise is, right, Scott? He gives me a big thumbs up there. We're going to look forward to having him on this side tomorrow to Stay Curious with a good friend of ours from down under. I told you about Dave Renicky is the real popularizer of astronomy down there. And we've got Cliff Watson in Pomona. Cliff, I know you'll be interested to watch and see your native friend there, Scott Pook. So, Pook, like spook, huh? Well, we'll look forward to that tomorrow. Well, as we're looking up at the sky from your backyard tonight, it was last night, Venus and Saturn are just a half a degree apart. That is the size of the moon, would slip in between them. Fomalhaut is the one bright star in the area in the southern fishes. The moon is going to continually move to the left and get close to Jupiter by Wednesday night, and then Mars over the weekend. And we're going to have an event on January 31st where Mars is going to be occulted the night of January 30th at about 12:30 in the morning on the 31st. Mars will be covered up by the moon and then pop out. And we'll talk about that on Stay Curious some next week. So right above Orion's the red planet Mars and another reddish star, Aldebaran. And we're going to look at some of the stars of the sky and just how far away they are, as well as how big they are size-wise. Stars in the sky are like people. They're different sizes and shapes, so to speak, and ages. And just because a star is bright, that doesn't mean it's all that much powerful. A great example is this star here, Rigel, is over 900 light years away, while Betelgeuse is about less than half of that, and they should be equal in brightness. This is a couple, Betelgeuse there is shown a little bit fainter when it actually dimmed in 2020. We'll talk about that. Excuse me there. The hexagon in the sky is made up of these bright stars. 10 of the top 20 stars are visible in the night sky. 9 if you're up in Michigan and can't see Canopus below Sirius here. But all these stars are in different constellations and make a gigantic, either a G, as you see on the right, or a hexagon. Up at the top is Capella, 42 light years away. Capella is the third brightest star of all in the entire sky. Sirius is the first brightest star at the bottom there. They're both fairly close. Sirius is very close to us, 8 light years away, while Capella, the light that is shining on us, left that star in 1982 or 83. Over on the left, Castor and Pollux are the two bright stars of Gemini the twins. They're about equal distance away, 50 light years. All right, so the light from Castor left when right when we were ending our moon landings on Apollo 17. Procyon, another bright star in the little dog or Canis Major. Canis Minor. Sirius is in Canis Major. They're both, again, approximately the same distance away, and that's why they're so bright. And there, if you take Rigel and go over to Betelgeuse in the middle, that's where you get the G spot. Again, here are these bright stars shown in the sky among their constellations. And so from your backyard, you can see all these stars about 9 o'clock looking to the east, and then you can see how many of the stars of the constellations they can trace out. So all stars, like I said, are different shapes, all right? And here is a little graphic to show you our planets on top to scale. Mercury, Mars, Venus, Earth. They're out of order to show you the sizes involved. Jupiter, there you see on the bottom, the middle row, there's Jupiter. Our largest planet is the smallest object on the left to show you that Arcturus, Rigel, and that's 3 stars there, I mean. Aldebaran, Rigel, Antares, and Betelgeuse, all right, are shown all in a scale there. Betelgeuse is twice the size of Antares. Now, that's a summer star in Scorpio. But Rigel and Aldebaran are quite small compared to Betelgeuse. If we put Betelgeuse in our solar system, it would suck up the planets to the orbit of Mars. But then panel number 4 there in the middle shows you Betelgeuse being real tiny, and there you have 2 other gigantic stars that just dwarf anything else. So these stars are they're super giants by their elements are turning into hydrogen, turning into helium, and helium expands out, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So again, another graph to kind of confuse you more, that there's Betelgeuse, our sun, is like right in the tiny center there. So stars are different sizes, all right, not too many different shapes, but the different sizes are involved by how much matter they were born with, all right. If they were born big, they're going to even get bigger, supernova, like Betelgeuse there. So Betelgeuse fainted from 2019 to 2020. It dimmed, and it was incredible to see when you're used to seeing it as bright as the right lower star, the white star, Rigel, and yet you see Betelgeuse there is obviously not as bright as Rigel when it dimmed 2 years ago. That dimming, we think, was caused by an event where the star actually belched out matter that obscured the star brightness. And here is the Hubble telescope taking pictures of something moving in front of Betelgeuse and its great dimming. All right, let me go forward here. There we go. All right, so there's our stars there. Yep, I'm going. So the great dimming happened, and now things are back to normal, where Regulus and Rigel and Betelgeuse are about the same uh, brightness as shown in this fancy photo I took with a little star filter. To review a little bit about Orion, because it dominates so completely our night sky with the three belts, the two stars at the top making up its shoulders, and then you have the knees at the bottom. All right, and Orion with this chart here, you have some ideas of the distances and the names of all these stars. All right, Rigel is 900 light years away, while Betelgeuse is a third closer. So it doesn't put out as much energy as Rigel, or Rigel, if it was where Betelgeuse is, 3 times closer, it would cast a shadow in the night sky. It'd be the brightest object. So you have the stars of the belt, though, are over 2,000 light years away. All right, that light hitting our eyes, having left the belt stars at the turn of our millennial, back zero in the early days of our 2000s of 0 AD and BC back then. So, and again, that shows the brightness of Betelgeuse is now back to normal. But what I have this slide in here for, which you don't realize is what is unknown. What the eye doesn't see is what a sensitive camera to hydrogen alpha can see. And there is Orion is engulfed in a complete gaseous cloud, invisible to the human eye, but there as plain as day when you look at through special filters. All right. And that is Matt Harbison, a friend of mine, spent 2 years piecing together this mosaic of Orion to show you all of the gaseous cloud that envelops it in there. So isn't that incredible? The brightest star in the sky is indeed Sirius, right below. Sirius is the brightest star in Canis Major, the big dog. It is the brightest star in the sky at -1 magnitude. Now Jupiter and Mars and Venus right now are all brighter than Sirius, but it is the brightest star in the sky. And here's a close-up, beautiful image of it. It actually has a smaller star orbiting it that they call the Pup, because this is the dog star, the famous dog star of ancient times. And this star was thought to be so bright that when it rose in the springtime in Egypt in the daylight, they thought that the hot summer days were heat from Sirius was adding to the hotness of the summer days, because Sirius is right up in the daytime sky shining down. And that's where we call the dog days of summer, because this is the dog star in Canis Major, the big dog. So that's how we got that little bit of pop culture, the dog star. Now, here we see Orion above me here, and above Orion to the left, below left, is Sirius, the dog star, and up the upper left is that bright star Procyon. And you can see that the red star Betelgeuse, Sirius, and Procyon all make a winter triangle. There's a summer triangle of 3 stars that straddle the Milky Way. This winter triangle straddles nothing that we see but some empty space, but nonetheless very distinct in the sky right now as you're looking at Orion. About 10 o'clock is when it's directly south. And to go out in your backyard and relax. In fact, Marty, we have had a big day today moving some of our collections, and I kind of thought to myself, oh good, I'm going to be talking about the stars, and that's a good way that I like to relax. Question, Marty?
Yeah, from Carlton Bailey. I know I'm just being a pain, but isn't our sun the brightest star?
Isn't our sun the brightest star? Well, you got me, Carlton. You're absolutely right about that. Marty, would you look at this extension cord and tape it back up there so that doesn't pull out again? Yes, tape it to the blue tape or something there. We had some tension on that, and it knocked out our video when we went live. Yes, and you know, Carlton brings a good point. Yes, the brightest star in the sky is our sun. And I had a boss that said to me, Mark, everybody knows the sun's not a star. It's the sun. And well, okay, boss, you know, whatever you want to think. But yeah, people do have a hard time realizing that our sun is just a average Joe Schmo star in size. It's actually kind of a small star. It's technically a yellow dwarf star. It's only less than 1,000,000 miles across, but that is our brightest star, Carlton. Thank you for keeping me on my toes here on Star Curious on our Stay Curious podcast. Well, there we looking at again at the G spot and the hexagon, whatever you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bright stars. 8 of the brightest 10 stars in the sky right there. All right. Capella is really a sleeper. That's the third brightest star behind Sirius. And those of you in Florida would see Canopus above the horizon. And it's the second brightest star in the sky. So there again, looking at them without putting the lines around them, it does look bright. There's Castor and Pollux, our Gemini, the twin friends. They're just above Procyon. This constellation is deep in the folklore and star lore of the brothers that founded Rome in mythology. Romulus and Remus became Castor and Pollux in the Greek mythology. And to show you that stars do have wonderful colors, here we have Rigel, the bright star in Orion, and on the left we've got Betelgeuse again, showing you their equal brightness, but how stars can give color. You don't see this color with your naked eye. There are a couple stars that you can see blue and gold, but they're few and far between on there. So, and Auriga the charioteer. Cliff Watson, thank you, Cliff. He's watching from Pomona, Australia. All right, and we're going to have Scott Pook on tomorrow, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how you live down there upside down, Cliff. The Orion's upside down, the moon's upside down, but so we'll get a first-hand knowledge there. And Cliff, of course, when you come to the States, we'll welcome you on the program. Doug Forrest is watching in Los Angeles. Dave Stangy's up in Michigan. Robert Law, hope you had a good birthday. We enjoyed sharing that. Robert Law's birthday was Friday with Buzz Aldrin and Jerry Ross. And I have to pose the question, you didn't get married too, did you, Robert? Like Buzz did at age 93 to his longtime girlfriend. Oh, move me around there, Marty. Warn me about that. I got to put my seatbelt on. Bill Whiting's watching. Hey, Bill. Thanks for staying in touch with us. Mikey Haddad. All right, Mikey, he's getting a payload program together for us next Tuesday. Mike Bostwick, good to see you, Mike. Steve Hammer, Ben Husett. All right, Carmen Vastula. Hey, Carmen, thank you for staying curious. And, of course, Mark and Tom Usiak. Tom's on here. Mark must be pretending to be working there. His big brother Tom has plenty of time to stay curious, don't you, brother? Yes, Marty.
Carlton Bailey, serious question. Is there any way to figure out if our sun is part of any constellation?
Well, it definitely is a part of a constellation. If we were on the closest star system in Centaurus, Alpha Centauri and Procyon and Proxima Centauri, looking back, we would see our sun, just like we're looking at Proxima Centauri in the constellation Centaurus. We would see our sun in a background of other stars. Is our sun part of a star cluster, like the Pleiades that we're going to see here in a minute, that may have spread out over time? Well, that could be. But basically, Carlton, it poses another good question, because the stars of Auriga only look like a house or lopsided house or from the perspective of our sun. All right. If we went to another star and looked at Auriga, it wouldn't look like this, nor would Orion look like it would. We might be at a star system that looking at the side of the stars. So constellations are merely a perspective that we see of the brightest stars in the sky. Sometimes they do associate with each other, but most of the times it's like looking at the stop sign, the tree, the light pole. All right, they just happen to be in that configuration, and they're always looking like that when you look out your front door. So inquisitive Carlton today, we appreciate that. Up above now, Auriga is the name of a human being who was called a charioteer. And I don't know, those of you that stargaze, there's a lot of weird names up there of people. Another one is Ophiuchus, who is the serpent bearer. I've never met an individual named Auriga or Ophiuchus, all right? But maybe someday I will. Auriga, that's a good name for a cat, I think, right, Carlton? But why would somebody like Auriga, the charioteer, become so famous that he's immortalized in the sky with a star pattern? Marty, you got an answer to that?
Sorry, Mark. I have no idea.
Well, I got you thinking, though, don't I?
Well,
I'm going to look up Auriga in one of my favorite books here and just see Auriga, the large and prominent constellation, has been known since ancient Babylonian and Greek times as a charioteer. All right. You know what I think? I think this cat invented the wheel. That's what I think. Auriga is the person that put wheels on a chariot for the first time, and they immortalized him in the sky. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. There we go, back to the G spot again. There is Taurus. Orion's easy to find. Taurus the bull. The head of the, you're just seeing the head of the bull. All right, and his shoulders. And in the shoulders, the Pleiades, the seven little sisters. And you've got the stars of Auriga. One of them is actually the horn of Taurus up there. All right, so Auriga goes off to the left, the charioteer. And there you have the Hades, is a loose cluster of stars that looks best in binoculars, and it's not as concentrated as the Pleiades is because that's a younger star cluster that the stars were born together, and we don't think our sun is part of a system like that. But these stars, yeah, that looks like a little dipper, but that's not the little dipper. That is the gaseous cloud that the stars of the Pleiades are embedded in, where they were born out of a couple million years ago. You cannot see that nebulosity with the naked eye, but you can hint at it with any backyard photo. And this is a great object to look at with binoculars. Native Americans would ask a young boy of 12, 13, 14, how many stars you see in the Pleiades? And on a dark night in Native American lands of America, you could probably see maybe 8 or 7, all right? But definitely 6 are easy to see, but that 7th one's a little elusive. And if you can see 7 or maybe 8 of these 100 stars, man, you're going to be an Eagle Scout. They would say, "Oh, you got good eyesight. You're going to be a scout. You're going to run around, looking for buffalo and our enemies." But you know what they would do with you, Marty, if you saw less than 5 or 6 stars in the Pleiades as a young man?
Again, I have no idea.
Well, they would make you stay back at the camp and help the squaws out with their washing and cooking and stuff.
That would be safe.
Yeah, I would never see more than 4 or 5 stars ever. I would say, oh, I see 3, I think. Okay, I better stay back here with the women and keep them safe. So, but that's a true story. Our stars are used in cultures all over the place. And when we have Scott Pook on here tomorrow, maybe he'll share a few Australian sky stories with us. I'm sure he's got a few. So looking forward to that, Scott. His name's popped up time and time again, Marty, and we're always thrilled to have you visiting us in our museum. There's the Pleiades, and there we go, the G spot again in the sky, or you leave Betelgeuse out, it's ring around the Betelgeuse with the octagon there, the hexagon actually laid out there. But you can see this from your backyard. And I want you to chill out a little bit. Print you a star map. They're accessible on your computer, or have a book at home. I bet you if you got encyclopedias or astronomy books, maybe sometimes road maps have stars charts in them. But you use the red flashlights so that your eyes do not get contracted again. You want them to dilate. And that's so important in your backyard. Even though you're safe in your lawn chair looking up, there's the neighbor's light over there. Well, maybe if you move over by the tree and use the tree to block the neighbor's light, you might not be able to see all the sky, but you can see a good dark area of it and let your eyes get dark adapted. Find out what kind of deep sky objects, Messier objects, discovered by Charles Messier, thought they were comets, but they didn't move. So there's over 100 faint fuzzy objects to look at with binoculars. So go out and get you some, and you'll appreciate how it just makes you feel good to find a dot to dot, star hopping, bingo. There you just found the great cluster of Hercules, or you found the Owl Nebula around the Big Dipper. So, well, good. Marty, one last thing going there?
No.
Oh, okay. He's making a note there. So we're going to have Scott Pook on tomorrow, and then Wednesday we are going to celebrate our fallen heroes Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. This, of course, is NASA's darkest week with the disasters where we lost 17 wonderful human beings in the Apollo 1 fire, Columbia, and Challenger. So we're going to feature those astronauts in a very positive way to give you the little thumbnail bio of the Apollo 1 astronauts on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll talk about Challenger astronauts, and on Friday, the Columbia astronauts, all leading up to our Sunday astronaut memorial at Sandpoint Park beside Spaceview Park. Marty and I will be live to bring you the whole festivities of the remembrance of very humble, reverent, and patriotic ceremony to honor our fallen astronaut heroes. So you'll not want to miss that on Sunday at 1 o'clock, and we'll be talking about the rest of the week. So thank you, Marty, for a good Streamlabs job there. A little hiccup at the beginning, but we have learned to overcome these. Tomorrow, Scott Pook is going to be here. We're going to talk about Honeysuckle Creek radio station and talk about the dish that was the famous dish that had to capture the Apollo 11 footage in the middle of a storm, and just have fun with a Australian visitor who loves to stay curious just like you do. So until tomorrow with Australian Scott Pook, I am Mark Marquette saying we can't wait to see you again to bridge the space between us.